$3,000, sitting in a savings account, untouched for 2 years. You feel responsible every time you see it, safe, prepared, doing the right thing. That feeling isn't wrong. But the money sitting still? That's not safety? Not exactly. Not the whole picture. Because while you weren't looking, that account was quietly shrinking. Not in balance, but in what it can actually buy. Here's what nobody tells you about emergency funds. The very habit that financial advice celebrates, keeping cash liquid and hands-off, has a hidden cost baked right into it. Your airbag is inflating, but inflation is deflating it at the same time. My name is Alex, and I spend probably too much time thinking about the gap between financial advice that sounds right and financial mechanics that actually are. Today, that gap is your savings account. If you're someone who takes personal finance seriously enough to actually have an emergency fund and wants to make sure it's working as hard as you think it is, hit subscribe. That's exactly who this channel is for. Think of your emergency fund as a financial airbag. Its whole job is to deploy at the moment of impact. A job loss, a blown transmission, a medical bill, and absorb the shock so the rest of your life doesn't crumple. A good airbag saves you. A slowly leaking one still helps, but less than you planned, and right now, most emergency funds are leaking. Here's how the leak works, in 3 stages. First, the inflation drain. When prices rise faster than your savings account pays interest, your balance stays the same, but its purchasing power shrinks. A typical big bank savings account has paid under 1% for most of the past decade. Meanwhile, tuition at public universities has risen 3 times faster than inflation, and everyday costs follow similar pressure. That $3,000 you set aside? In real terms, it buys less every year you leave it in the wrong account. Second, the opportunity gap. The money parked in a low-yield account isn't just losing to inflation, it's also not compounding. High-yield savings accounts. These are FDIC-insured accounts, just like your regular bank, but operated by online banks with lower overhead, have offered rates meaningfully above inflation during recent rate cycles. The airbag still deploys. It just doesn't leak while it waits. Third, the invisible tax on inaction. The U.S. personal saving rate sat at just 2.6% as of April 2026. Most people aren't oversaving. They're barely saving. So the emergency fund that exists at all is already rare. The question isn't whether to have one. It's whether the one you have is positioned well. Take Maya and Jordan. Both have $4,000 set aside for emergencies. Same income, same discipline, same intention. Maya keeps hers in the checking account she's always used. Easy to access. Earns basically nothing. Jordan moved hers to a high-yield savings account 2 years ago. Still FDIC insured, still liquid in 2 to 3 business days, but earning a rate that at least partially offsets inflation. 2 years later, Maya's airbag is the same size on paper. Jordan's airbag has quietly stayed inflated. Same emergency fund logic. Completely different real-world outcome. Here's the thing. The reversals in emergency fund thinking stack up fast. You'd think more liquidity is always better. Actually, money that's too easy to access gets spent on non-emergencies. A small friction, like a 2-day transfer, acts as a filter. You'd think you need a large lump sum before the fund counts. Actually, even $500 to $1,000 prevents most households from going into debt when an unexpected expense hits. The airbag doesn't need to be full size to absorb the first impact. You'd think building the fund comes after paying off debt and maxing investments. Actually, without a buffer first, one unexpected cost forces you back into debt, erasing your progress entirely. The airbag comes before the road trip. You might be thinking, it's just a savings account. The difference in interest is tiny. And on a small balance, sure, the dollar difference looks minor. But that framing misses the mechanism. The real cost isn't the interest you didn't earn. It's what happens when the airbag deploys and it's smaller than you thought, and you have to cover the gap with a credit card at 20% interest. The leak matters most at exactly the wrong moment. Someone who understands this isn't just a saver. They're a person who sees the whole system, who knows that an airbag that quietly leaks isn't the same as one that holds. That awareness changes how you relate to every dollar you set aside. Not as money doing nothing, but as infrastructure that either holds its value or doesn't. That distinction is what separates someone who feels financially safe from someone who actually is. If this reframed how you see your own emergency fund, share it with someone who still has theirs in a checking account from 2015. And if you want to keep understanding the mechanics behind money, not just the rules but the reasons, subscribe. New video coming soon.